and they are really just creating more tension than solutions. And so much as, yes, we're happy that the cabinet has been fired, I think progressively the Gen Z have given us an idea, me being as a millennial, that we should look at every aspect of governance more critically. And I refer to the Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo, who mentioned that the CJ should either shape up or ship out. So for me, the long-term game would be, one, you've gotten the cabinet secretaries out. Yes, that's fine. Next would be the MPs. Recall as many MPs as possible, because even this whole called dialogue, it's the political elite playing politics. I am a student of political theory, so I believe there's aspects to politics that a lot of people forget, that when one politician is threatened, they will gang up against the people who are threatening them. So it's a different kind of colonialism. It's Afro-colonialism, as I call it, because as you can see, we now have the opposition joining government and saying, let's dialogue. But none of these Gen Zs asked for a dialogue. They were very clear about what they wanted. It's taking, it seems, a whole month or so to just effect one simple thing. And so I believe what Ruto is doing is just measuring the scale. Now that the Gen Z had called for a mass protest on the 16th, that he will dissolve cabinet and read the room again, see if the temperatures calm down. But I think every one of you can see that there's another call for, okay, we've sent them home, but we need to audit them. We need accountability. Even as much as they are gone, we need to audit them. So that presents also another cry for accountability, another cry for openness, and another cry for honesty, which I believe people are feeling like we do not trust anything that Ruto says. And that is the temperature in the room. And so I'll end my first submission there. Hopefully I'll get the mic again. But I'd like to hear what other people think, because I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also happy that progress is being made one by one. And I hope we continue with that kind of support. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Let's go to graduate.
Well, thank you much. I think I'm audible enough. Yeah. Well, I want to first to submit my gratitude to the diaspora guys for being supportive to the movement. You girls, you have the option of just staying there and saying that, well, where I am there is peace, economy is working, but thank you for remembering that Kenya is your motherland. Secondly, the president, or rather Ruto, has just played these chess games again today. That guy is so calculative. We may celebrate and we forget the main agenda of the movement. It's like now the cabinet has been disbanded. So we should really ask ourselves, what is Ruto trying to achieve? Probably that guy is trying to achieve something. That guy is super smart when it comes to playing games with people. So what I can really say is that let us keep focused with the movement. For instance, the demonstrations that were meant to be on 16th of the next week, let us not be blindfolded by what has transpired today. Secondly, I hear people asking, why Musalia Mudavadi has been not been isolated, have not been sacked. You find out that last week Musalia Mudavadi did something that many people did not understand. Many people did not know why he dissolved ANC and he joined UDA. So Musalia Mudavadi, I think he saw something was cooking, and part of what was cooking was he knew that this what happened today is gonna happen, and I think disbanding ANC is one of the sacrifices he made. So going forward, let those people with big platforms, let us deplatform opportunists, first of all. Secondly, as the previous speaker said, let us call for accountability even for the people who has been sacked. Those people who have been writing with pens worth 150,000, 4 million watches. Let the ESCC and all other bodies get to the necks of those folks and then let them, if they are found guilty, they belong to committee and Naivasha maximum prison. So I also wish to encourage fellow Gen Z. I'm so happy, and may the comrades who have fallen rest in peace. In fact, even if it's so little, their blood has not gone to waste, but we are continuing to push even for more reforms, for Ruto. Ruto must go. That is our song. So let us not kill the movement. Let us not over celebrate. By the way, I've come to realize excitement is a distraction. You can be excited and be distracted at the same time. So let us not even wake up tomorrow and continue Ruto has sacked Macies and whatever. Let us be vigilant. Let us watch closely, because he is already planning the next move. He has sacrificed the CSs and he is already cooking another move. So let us remain united, comrades, and I know we are going to achieve what is really ahead of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, graduate, for your very good submissions. And now we proceed to Professor Fred Ogola. Welcome to the space, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, host. I'm very happy to be here. I think this movement began with very many generations to come, because the Gen Xers, the millennials began by talking, very angered, very annoyed, giving information, and the Gen Zs have executed. So, as far as I'm concerned, with all due respect, revolution has taken place. But the most delicate part of any revolution is always to ensure that you get what you want. So many revolutions have taken place, just like Shambhala Wanyama. But when it comes to now the details of getting what we really wanted in place, then sometimes we miss to get that act done. So what I want to just to ventilate here as an economist and as a governance expert, let's understand why should the cabinet be in place and why should they go out. The fact that Ruto has fired his own cabinet, it is a vote of no confidence on himself, because he's the one who appointed them. How can a president be so wrong that the economic model is wrong that has brought us here, and that was his vision? Then a cabinet that was his first cabinet, is all of them wrong that they have to go home? And at the same time, a finance bill that he has, the first one was wrong, people opposed. The second one is wrong, that is opposed. So it's like a leader of an army that has the wrong map and is pretending to take us to our destiny. So according to me, the ultimate thing is that Ruto must go home. And I don't think there's anything around that, because in this sacking of the cabinet, we have to know that there's what they call the de jure and the de facto. The cabinet he sacked has never been the de facto cabinet. I've always said this in the media, that the de facto cabinet are shadow cabinets who are sitting there and making all the decisions. That's why even if the de jure has gone home, the de facto will continue with the corruption, will continue. So I'm even concerned how much corruption, how much theft, how much accountability, lack of it, will be taking place as the de jure goes home, because there's no one to blame. Guys, since we lost all the monies, Auditor General says we cannot account for 1 trillion shilling that was borrowed the other day. What's going to happen to that money, even if the cabinet are not there? I come from Siaya, and I'm sure all of us have where we come from. Whether we come from Murang, I come from Nyeri. Let us ask the basic questions. Was our ultimate goal just to be happy that somebody has gone home? Or we are looking for how that my mother, my grandmother, who has to take a child to school, who has to put food on the table, that young person I met in Kisumu, who is 42 years old, who has never worked and is 42 years old, he's only 13 years away from retirement. If you have not worked until you are 42, how will you going to retire? We need to ask the question that matter. How will we feed our families? So that's about our livelihoods. What about our comfort? Do you have enough security? Do we have good road infrastructure? Do we have infrastructure for education, for everything that is comfortable for Kenyans? And what is our future? When you borrow money and we shall pay, is that you are making our future worse or better? So let us not be distracted by this facade that is being created outside my cabinet. What is that money that the cabinet is supposed to earn go to? Then secondly, what is the cost of hiring a cabinet? Are they going to get if they got 3 years, 5 years contract, are still going to earn their money and the benefits for those years? What package are going? We need to ask those detailed questions because the devil is actually in the detail. But the big statement is there. And let me take this chance again to send my condolences to all those who lost their lives, families that got injured. I was on the street myself, and people wonder why I went to the street. Yet for us, we are or let's say professionals. But I'm trying to say, with all our qualifications, they are useless if the economy cannot be able to reward our qualifications. The Kenyan economy is so much behind the human resource development. So we are finding that the economy cannot reward the human resource development. So even if you are educated, can you be rewarded with the equivalence of your qualification? The opposite is other countries. You go to a country like Rwanda, the economy is so advanced that any Rwandese who is qualified gets rewarded. And I'm sure you can give examples everywhere. And I don't want to take all the time, but mine is just to thank you for the chance to speak here. And I hope that we continue engaging. Ruto must go.
Thanks so much for your submission. Of course, I agree that we need to look into the details of, what it actually means. And that's why we are holding this conversation to see, look, the nitty gritty of, sending a cabinet home, and of course the main agenda of what people were requesting for, is it being achieved or not, and just really have a critical look at how things are playing out. We go to Simon, then Peter, and then Godfather.
Thanks a lot, Madge. First of all, let me send my condolences to all the youths who have died at the hands of this administration. It's really sad. And secondly, I think firing the CSS is a really good step from the president towards addressing our issues that we've raised. I think there are quite a couple which are still outstanding, and we should continue pushing until all those issues are achieved. First, and then again, honestly, I've never been a fan of this government, and more so the leadership of UDA. If you look at the cabinet minister or secretary for education, it reached a point I asked the guys who have children who go to school, if the cabinet secretary of education wakes up and tells you, we are going to open school today, are you going to trust his word, or you have to go and cross-check from other sources? That is where this government had taken us, where you can't trust any government information from the minister. Like, that was quite a high level of mistrust. Then the others who can't even read, like Aisha Jumwa, the others who are very proud, like Murkomen Duale, CS Kuri, and so on. There are people, and even in this space, I think the question is, what next? Government of national unity. I think we are past government of national unity. I think that's a bare minimum as per the constitution. The government or any appointment should reflect the Kenya ethnic diversity. That's a bare minimum. The second point that we should go to is, there are very many qualified people who can take up the role of cabinet secretaries, who can take up the role of permanent, or what are they called, PSS, and they implement the manifesto of this government of UDA. Why can't you elect people who are competent, people who have know-how, who are ministry ranks? For example, in Ministry of Health, we have someone like Dr. Nyikal, I think he's from SEME in Nyanza. Why can't you have someone like Dr. Nyikal, if at all you want someone who is a politician? He understands the healthcare very well, and he has the political acumen to do whatever needs to be done by a cabinet secretary. Then to my second point, and this is about now going forward, about accountability. Why should the Office of the Auditor General give a damning report to a governor, to an MP, CDF, and they still continue holding that particular office? They need to take political responsibility and resign. They need, like if the damning report comes once or twice, I think we need to have some law which says you can continue holding that particular office because we've tried to entrust you with our resources, and the Auditor General keeps on giving such kind of reports so that people can be accountable to the people and to the Constitution. Because right now, the Auditor General reports are just like literature. They are just there, nothing happens. The Parliament is just there, it never does anything. And then that point now brings me to the role of the Parliament as it is now. Because the role of Parliament is threefold. One, it's representation. Two, it's legislation. And three, it's oversight. If we look at the role of oversight and legislation, honestly, I don't think that that the Parliament, as it is constituted right now, does that. We have the Office of the Auditor General, which does financial, that is Auditor General and I think Controller of Budget, which does oversight on the financial side. In terms of criminal culpability, we have institutions like DCI and so on and so on. So the type of oversight that the Parliament gives is very diluted. I remember when Mythical Inturi was being investigated for supplying fake fertilizer, at some point, instead of taking the fertilizer to labs for testing, the MPs were just smelling to know whether it's fake or whether it's not fake. Like, what kind of oversight is that, honestly? You need to be able to go to KEBS, request for tests, and then come back and tell the cabinet secretary, we went to this particular lab and we got this report. Why are you supplying fake fertilizer? Not just smelling the fertilizer. Like, so that is one role. I feel that the oversight role is pretty. They've done it very poorly. In terms of legislation, right now we do our legislation through public participation. So that means if the Parliament wants to do a proper legislation, they need to pass those laws through the people who elected them. After that, they should do very negligible alteration to what the people said, which unfortunately is not happening. Actually, it should be just like doing a report. This is what the people said. They are either agreeing or they are not agreeing. If they are agreeing, you put it in a legal way. So I feel that role can be done in a more financially prudent way, instead of paying 300 and something MPs close to 1 million a month to just report what the people are saying. So whatever role they remain with, that they can do very well is representation. Then now comes the issue of CDF. The matters of development are purely left. That is what the Constitution envisaged. It should be purely done by the executive, either the county government or the national government. So this CDF is just like a ploy, just to keep on pleasing these MPs. Like if you want to fund education, through CDF. Just take all that CDF, take it to the Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Education has enough resources and enough reach to know which institution needs which type of development and so on and so on. If they need 3 classes, I think the Ministry of Education can be able to, through Ministry of the one which was being held by Murkomen, they can do some classes there instead of an MP doing a class in a place where it's not even needed. So I feel that the matters of CDF and all those bursaries which have been given, I feel that we are past that. Let them channel all those education-related bursaries through schools. The head teachers, the principals, will be able to do a head count. This is the number of students that we have, and they need this amount. So I think that's all I have. But just before I finish, I feel that also the government is really underperforming in terms of communication. Because yesterday I was just listening to the majority leader Kimani Ichung'wah and William Ruto, the president, saying that, like trying to explain why there are demonstrations. Kimani Ichung'wah said that because they are political scavengers, and they're in the same meeting, and William Ruto says because there are foreign powers which are influencing the youth. Like you're in the same meeting and you are saying totally different things. Can they just get their act together? And for guys who and just stop governing through propaganda, because it will never work. They've tried it for 2 years, it has not worked. They need to go back to factory setting and govern the way it should be governed. Those are my submissions. Thanks a lot, Madge, for giving me
Thank you so much. May we, moving forward, take 5 minutes each and try to really stick to the topic, which is the cabinet dissolution, what you think about it, and what the way forward should be. And so welcome to the space, Hillary. And the next speaker is Odera.
Thank you very much, Madge. Can you guys hear me? Thank you very much. Thank you for the space, and thank you for this topic. I won't dwell much on what has been said. First, the cabinet dissolution. This was long overdue, and I don't give Ruto any marks for dissolving the cabinet, given that the likes of Linturi, Kindiki were still serving in the same cabinet. If this guy was serious about his administrative lineup, then he could have dealt with the likes of Linturi, Kindiki a long time ago. He didn't. So this does not show that Ruto is doing a good job. He's just under pressure. We've cornered this guy, and he's just trying to throw bits and pieces at us, hoping that we will probably step back and give him some breathing space. The dissolution of the cabinet is not a pointer to anything. I strongly feel that Ruto will not let his kitchen cabinet go. The likes of Alan, the likes of Duale, the likes of Linturi, Kindiki, all those guys will still be serving with Ruto. And the indicator is the likes of Sudi. Sudi is not on any appointment, but we see the amount of power he wields, Hawa ndio kitchen cabinet wa Ruto. So yes, they are not cabinet secretaries, but they'll still be advising and working with Ruto. So they'll try to map out their next plan. Ruto is not alone. He's still with these people. What I like about everything that is happening is we are cutting the executive to size, The checks and balances have failed. The three arms of government ain't checking each other. So with the citizens, with the civilians are doing the job of the legislature, which is a runaway legislature, and the judiciary. So we are cutting the executive to size. And I don't think that we should give Ruto any breathing space. No. our agenda is Ruto must go, nothing short of that. Whether he dissolves the cabinet, whether he forms a government of national unity, Ruto must go is our bare minimum. So I think we need to continue pushing Ruto hard. Yes, we should count our blessings. We should celebrate our wins, but should not rest on them. We need to focus on one thing and one thing only. Ruto going and us getting back our countries. Briefly on a government of national unity, no, I am not for that. It will not solve anything. We've seen where the governments of national unities have left Kenya as a whole. So we've seen the other politicians starting to prepare for a government of national unity, and we see them trying to draw us back into our tribes. If you listen to the governor of Homa Bay speaking to the Luos in Luo, if you understand Luo, then you know what I mean. If you don't understand her speech, find someone to interpret it for you. And then Sifuna boldly for the government of national unity, and how these guys are speaking out is an indication of the kind of we should look beyond that. That's not our business. I don't care what this guy does. All I care about is Ruto living. Bring back a constitutional order.
To chime in and then we go to Kumwanza.
No, I'll pass for now.
Kumwanza,
Sorry.
over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Marge, and the panel and the listeners. Mine are few. One, the problem we've had in Kenya for the longest time is an imperial presidency where power centers around the person at the top. In all the constitutional making processes from 1963 to 2005 referendum to 2010, that has been the problem, wanting to dilute the power that centers around the presidency and devolve it. Now, what then does the dissolution of the cabinet today mean to us? Ruto is still the president. Ruto is still an imperial president. He gets to appoint his cabinet at any point. We do not have the criteria. He will decide tomorrow to appoint some guy from a backwater village in his rural home to the cabinet tomorrow, once this tide of protests has died down, and I don't know if we'll be able to come back and keep him in check. So the point here is that we shouldn't lose sight of the big picture.